Governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, on Tuesday alleged that the embattled 18 local government council chairmen in a year and 3 months remitted over 12 billion naira to leaders of the opposition People's Democratic Party in the state. Governor Okpebholo made the allegation while playing host to the acting chairman and councillors of the 18 local government areas who were in the government house on a courtesy visit. He recommended the acting chairman and the councillors for their courageous act in upholding democracy and ensuring transparency at the local government level, stressing that local government funds do not belong to any individual, irrespective of status. Okpebholo narrated, "When I came into the office, I had a meeting with the accountant general and he showed me some books. Some of these spending had no explanation. I picked interest in some of the spending because I saw an item which was tagged environmental security funding. I have never heard of that before, and the amount involved was huge, 800 million naira every month. These chairmen were contributing this money and gave it to leaders of a party." The governor said that the alleged discovery led to a meeting with the former chairmen who were asked to explain the money allocated to environmental security funding, but they could not. "I invited the chairman but could not meet with them, but my deputy met with them. He asked them to explain certain spending, but no one could explain. He asked them to provide their books and they agreed and said they would in 24 hours. But the deputy said no, let it be in 48 hours. But these chairmen didn't obey the instruction in 2 weeks as none of them submitted their books. Following the development, I sent a letter to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to look into their records. As a former parliamentarian, I know there is a body that has a function over them. So I sent a letter to the Edo State House of Assembly, EDHA, and they were invited, and they refused to come, and they were suspended for 2 months," Okpebholo added. He further alleged that the suspended or impeached chairmen were engaging in wasteful spending. Chairman Local Government Commission Honorable Dimian Lawani, who led the acting local government chairman on the courtesy visit, assured the governor that the chairmen were ready to work closely with the administration and ensure the people at the grassroots enjoy the dividends of democracy. The acting chairman of Umuwonde, Honorable Irada Benjamin Osas, Esan West, Honorable Godsent Agboibo, and Onwan West, Honorable Joy Ohonyon pledged their loyalty to the state government. They assured Okpebholo and the people of the state that they will collaborate and support the current administration in Edo to succeed and deliver the dividends of democracy to the people, especially those at the grassroots. This has been a building up story. What are your thoughts on this?
All right. Before we go into politics, I'd like to say a Happy New Year to viewers here.
Happy New Year.
And wishing everyone a very prosperous one. And I want to use this medium to quickly appeal to motorists to please help Nigerians reduce their speed in hiking price of public transportations and commuters as people struggle to come back to continue their lives in the areas where they do business. Having said that, we'd like to go back to Edo, where the usual political culture being exhibited by opposition parties against each other when they come on board is expected. And so what's going on in Edo is it has become a political tradition in Nigeria where every party who succeeds in bringing a particular office holder will want to automatically line up the offices, every other public office, with members of their political party or their own cronies. I'd like to ask, the story had told us that the former chairmen were suspended for 2 months, and we're also seeing impeachment. And I do not know how impeachment and suspension moves together. I do not know how you can impeach the same person or the same persons who are serving suspension for 2 months. So how does it go? The governor has said they've been suspended by the State Assembly for 2 months, and at the same time impeached. I think Nigerians will be interested in knowing the difference between impeachment and suspension. I don't know if the governor is I don't know the right word to use, if the governor is confused or something. So, or is it the assembly that is confused? I want to also ask, sometime last year, there was a judgment that gives local government autonomy and also affirmed the position of acting chairman, interim chairman, caretaker chairman in the states in Nigeria, whereby a situation where the local governments are expected to run with the elected officials and not issues of acting, people in acting capacities. And so what's going on in Edo? Are we, going back and forth on the issues of who is to hold the office of executive chairman? Is it by appointment, like what we are seeing in Edo? There are issues of concern here also surround the fact that every local government have their legislative wing, which are constituted by the councillors representing their various wards, that are at that level are expected to check the activities of the council chairman. Bills were supposed to be raised and passed at the level of the legislative assembly, constituted by the councillors, drawn from the various wards, making up the local government. What is the duty of the councillors at that level? What was their recommendation? What was the recommendation of the councillors
as regards
the allegation?
Yes.
Regarding the allegation leveled against the chairman that has to do with spending, wasteful spending and all of that. So what was the recommendation from the councillors, which is the legislative arm of government at the local government level? And we were yet to know what was recommended, and then before it will be forwarded to the State Assembly. The governor had told us, according to this story, that he has written a letter to EFCC and had also transmitted same to the State.
Because they didn't show up with, their books as requested.
Good. Now, before we get to that level, what has happened at the local government level? Now, these are chairmen that were elected to run their tenure and all of that. And so, what is the duty of the councillors? If the governor had to write, and then maybe bridge protocols and processes, probably to ensure he paved a way to get his own men in acting capacity.
What processes do you think, in your opinion, he was supposed to follow?
The legislative arm of local council ought to have, invited the council chairman at the various local government level, and then form an investigative committee who would do their finding and then make recommendation. In fact, if there is an impeachment or any suspension, it ought to start from the council. And this has to be sponsored by the councillors. The leader of the house would now, of course, make a pronouncement, and then they transmit a letter to the State Assembly. And then from there, but here, it seems what we're seeing is we're jumping the gong, and everything was just moving at the speed of light, probably for a particular reason. Maybe because the local government chairmen are not, were not originally put in place by the chairman. By the governor. The governor just came in.
All right.
The governor just came in to meet the council chairman, and so they have to be some balancing. Now, that's what we see going on.
Now, you said you think it's because the governor came in and met them there, but basically, like you mentioned, because they are not in the same party.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as regards their defiance on submitting their books as required to show this is what we've been up to, this is what the security spending bill was about? The governor did mention that
environmental funding or something.
The environmental funding. Why wasn't those books, or why weren't those books remitted and shown to the governor that, okay, if it was a streamlined process, as it were, the monies were used for what they were meant to be used for? You bring out your books, wouldn't it have been in a better interest if they've brought out their books to say, this is what we did, given that they suggested we are going to tender it in 24 hours, and the deputy governor gave them 48 hours, and all up till now, for 2 weeks or more, they're yet to submit it?
You know, when you want to kill a dog, as is said in the popular local palace, you give it a name. There has to be something. There has to be something, upon which an action should be taken against the chairman. However, we want to talk about if indeed there was wasteful spending, and that the entire 18 local government chairmen have the same title for the releasing of such an amount, and they called it environmental security fund, but they couldn't explain how is it possible that the entire local government, the entire state chairman cannot explain. Could it be that the chairmen have agreed not to work with the governor? Could it be they were ready to work in disobedience? Because I wouldn't see why the entire 18 local government chairmen cannot account for. What is supposed to be in a book? This money was spent for XYZ and forwarded. So it's when someone has decided that we're not going to respond to what he has said for obvious reasons. Maybe in the coming days, we would hear the chairman or the embattled chairman give us their own version of the whole story. But up until now, I do not want to believe that any kobo can be expended by the local council without explanation. Not to talk about, I think some would be able to give and some wouldn't give. So that now say, okay, based on the fact that these reports were not satisfactory enough, or the one XYZ gave was okay based on that, and then you didn't tender any explanation, and so based on that you will be this is your penalty, or this is your punishment for not doing what you have to do. That it means it's an agreement thing. It means the chairmen are on one side and they have all agreed not to respond, probably because processes were not properly followed. And if the processes were not, that due process that was supposed to be followed were not followed, I think that can inform the action of the embattled chairman not to respond.
Right.
I think so.
You mentioned on the whole moving backwards as regards certain acting committees.
Yes.
Do you think this step by the Edo State governor is in the right step? Is he in the right step by appointing these people while this case is still in court and awaiting hearing on the 20th of January?
I think that's why I started from when I said some of the actions are taken probably to the advantage of the governor because he thinks at the moment he has the powers to do some of these things. Due processes have not been followed as we're seeing. Matters that are subjudice are expected to, everybody's supposed to maintain status quo. And
that is exactly what the court said said yesterday, to maintain status quo. Now, when the court said to maintain status quo for pending the case from December 14th, there was an argument yesterday, or a little confusion as regards maintain status quo as regards, you know, the status before December 14th, or after.
Status quo, for me, should mean before December 14th. Who were these embattled chairmen? They were council chairmen.
Right.
Let them remain where they are until the matter is, you know, settled. You can't become a judge as a governor, and then you suspend and impeach chairmen at the same time. Like I said, there is no clear definition of the position of the punishment. There's no description of the punishments given to the embattled chairman. It's not clear. 2 months suspension, impeached. That's what is in the story. And so there's no clarity. And so what's the governor saying? So I think the governor should check and retrace his step and allow justice to be done through the court process.
Thank you so much.